Lynn Roan is the new superintendent of schools at Dolgeville Central School. And great timing, Lynn. You've made your way just in time for a budget defeat. That's always fun for a superintendent to deal with. Good morning, Lynn. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much. Great to be with you. Wish it wasn't under these circumstances.
Yeah. So tell me, there was about a 4% tax increase, but you guys are dealing with some difficulties very similar to what the city of Rome is dealing with in a shortfall. And the budget was defeated. What does that mean? What's your next step?
Our next steps are we are going to put out another budget for our voters, and that vote will happen on June 18th. There will be a budget hearing on June 11th for people to come and hear our plan, and we're hoping that our community comes out and votes again, and we can move on to next year and start to rebuild.
Now, do you hope in this June 11th meeting, is the idea that you get the community out and you can educate them on what you originally wanted to do, or you are rolling back what was the proposed 4% increase and you're scaling back the budget?
First of all, it wasn't a 4% increase for us. It was an 11% increase.
Oh, okay.
So that's what was voted down. No, we're planning on putting out a new budget. We're scaling back again. And, the hearing is to ensure that the public just understands all the basics and the facts of what we're asking them to vote for, so they can vote with confidence and not by rumor.
So tell me, do you feel this was a situation where, because one of with the tax cap, depending on what your tax cap is, what schools are being criticized for in some cases today is that, well, you could have raised taxes by 1.8% and you didn't. And now, this goes on for 2 or 3 years, and now you're looking at an 11% tax increase. Do you feel that happened in your district?
Well, sure. If you look at a graph of our taxes that were approved for the last 10 or 12 years, you're looking at under 2%.
Yeah. So
we didn't go for the tax cap in many cases.
Mm-hmm. And I think what happens is it builds up and builds up till all of a sudden you're in trouble, and you're looking at and that's a hard thing to sell to people, though. Because we all love hearing that there's a 0% tax increase. That's hard to sell.
Yeah, but how can you have a 0% tax increase when you don't get much of an increase in state aid?
Right.
And your expenses go up by 3% in payroll every year, and your health insurance goes up by sometimes 9 and 10%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a great point.
You can't sustain that with having a staff that's right-sized already.
Right. Do you have any idea what you're looking at with this next budget proposal? Will it involve any cuts, any programs, or anything like that?
I can tell you there will definitely be cuts. We have to actually cut a minimum of $400,000 more out of our budget.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And do you have a growing or a shrinking population?
We have a very slowly shrinking population. We're really pretty stable.
Okay.
And tell me, when you say programs will be cut, Dolgeville is a very big sports town. People really like their football and other sports as well. Will those programs be in jeopardy?
Well, the board hasn't made its final decision yet, but I can tell you that the cuts that we proposed prior to this, which are going through, were all across the board. So we had some coaches that were cut.
Yeah.
And that's the same instance when we're going into this next budget cut. We'll be looking all across the board.
And now, I do know that this gets quite complicated. So if you go through this budget and this budget were to fail, explain what happens from there.
Right. What happens is we go to what's called a contingent budget, and a contingent budget tells us that we cannot have a tax levy that is more than the voters approve for this school year. So this school year they approved a 1.99% increase, so we have to go to, 1.9% increase, and we have to go to 1.8 if we go to contingent.
Okay.
Contingent also has some very strict rules of what we can spend on and what we can't. We wouldn't be able to buy any more equipment. We wouldn't be able to do any preventive maintenance for our maintenance department. We would only have to do emergency repairs. And Dolgeville, the school is the center of the community here, and the building is used 24/7. We have Girl Scouts here. We have Little League here. If we go to contingent, we have to charge all those groups for using.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I noticed in an interview that you had done that you felt that you really thought you'd educated people on where you were based on the increase, and ultimately it was voted down. And you felt like maybe you you thought you educated them, but maybe you didn't. What did they not? What did the public not understand? Do you feel?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if it was a misunderstanding or if maybe we spent too much time trying to educate them. But what I am hearing loud and clear from the voters who said no was that they think we have too many administrators on staff.
Okay. Yep. Interesting. All right. Okay, so the public hearing is going to be when? June
11th.
June 11th, and then the vote will come shortly thereafter on the 18th. Is that right?
Be on the 18th.
On the 18th. All right. Well, listen, we wish you the best. Not an easy way to start off the position, but we certainly wish you the best out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Lynn Roan, Dolgeville Superintendent, thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
All right. But it's tough
Yeah.
because you want all the programs, you want all these things that the school offers. And at the end of the day, we deal with this state aid that just keeps the foundation aid, which no one can seem to explain, and no one seems to understand, and it continues to put schools in a really tough position. Rome is another one that had a 4% increase that passed, but they're in a tough position right now.
The little line at the end there about people thinking they had too many administrators, it almost makes me wonder, is this a situation where people don't want the tax increase and they're like, well, how come so-and-so's got,
yeah,
they get good benefits, and why are they making X number of dollars a year?
Yeah.
Boy, it's always dangerous when you go down that road. And I don't know the details, again, of what anybody out there is making, but it almost becomes you make more than I do, so I'm not on board with this.